January 6, 2026, 4:47 a.m. Caribbean Sea, 80 miles north of Venezuelan coast. Darkness covers the water. A U.S. Navy destroyer locks onto a massive oil tanker. The vessel is carrying $800 million in Venezuelan crude. Destination: China. This is not a routine patrol. This is a blockade intercept. And Venezuela just scrambled fighter jets. War Pulse breaks down what happened next. The destroyer is the USS Porter, Arleigh Burke class, fully armed. Displacement: 9,200 tons. Length: 505 feet. Crew: 323 sailors. Armed with Tomahawk missiles, Harpoon anti-ship missiles, and a 5-inch gun. Plus the Aegis combat system, the most advanced naval radar in the world. The tanker is the Oceanic Titan, 300,000 tons, flying under a flag of convenience. Registered in Liberia, but everyone knows who owns this oil. The Venezuelan government, under international sanctions, trying to break through. At 4:47 a.m., the Porter's radar picks up the tanker moving at full speed. Distance: 42 nautical miles. Course: northeast. Speed: 16 knots. The radar operator calls out, "Captain, we have contact. Large vessel. Matches the profile." The captain stands in the Combat Information Center. He's been tracking this tanker for 3 days. Intelligence reports said it would try to run the blockade tonight. They were right. Captain orders: intercept and inspect. All hands to stations. The ship's alarm sounds. General quarters. 323 sailors rush to their posts. Within 90 seconds, the ship is at full combat readiness. The Porter's engines roar to life. Speed increases to 28 knots. Cutting through the dark water, closing the distance. At 4:52 a.m., the Porter's communications officer hails the tanker. Oceanic Titan, this is U.S. Navy warship on your starboard bow. Heave to for inspection. No response. The officer tries again. Oceanic Titan, you are carrying sanctioned cargo. Stop your vessel immediately. Still nothing. The tanker refuses to stop. Captain knows what this means. The tanker captain has orders from Caracas. Do not stop. Do not comply. If they board you, it's an act of war. Venezuelan President Maduro issues a statement at 4:58 a.m. Broadcast on state television, recorded hours earlier, timed perfectly. Any interference with Venezuelan vessels is an act of war. We will defend our sovereignty. Then it happens. 2 Su-30 Mk-2 fighter jets scramble from Francisco de Miranda Air Base. Location: 210 miles south. Flight time to intercept zone: 12 minutes. The jets are fully armed, R-77 air-to-air missiles, KH-31 anti-ship missiles. War Pulse has confirmation from multiple sources. The USS Porter's radar picks up the fighters immediately. Radar operator: Captain, 2 fast movers inbound from the south. Speed 650 knots. Military aircraft. Captain doesn't hesitate. Get me air support, now. The call goes out to the USS George Washington Carrier Strike Group. Distance: 180 miles northeast. Two FA-18E Super Hornets scramble. Pilot call signs Viper 1 and Viper 2. Flight time 8 minutes. This is about to get very dangerous. Comment if you'd want to be on that destroyer right now. At 5:02 a.m., the race is on. Venezuelan Su-30s, 40 miles out, closing fast. American FA-18s, 25 miles out, also closing. The tanker still refuses to stop, still pushing northeast at full speed. Captain has a decision to make. Wait for air support or take action now? He chooses action. Weapons, prepare warning shots. Fire control, lock the 5-inch gun on the tanker's bow. The USS Porter's main gun swivels. Hydraulics hum. The barrel elevates. The gunner's mate mans the fire control console. Gun ready, Captain. Targeting 200 meters ahead of the tanker's bow. Fire. Boom! The 5-inch gun erupts. A massive shell screams across the water at 2,600 feet per second. It hits the ocean 200 meters in front of the tanker. Enormous splash. Boom! Second round. Another splash. The tanker's bridge crew sees the geysers of water. They panic, but they don't stop. Radio silence from the oceanic Titan. Venezuelan Su-30s, 20 miles. American FA-18s, 15 miles. Clock ticking, tension rising. At 5:08 a.m., the Venezuelan jets enter the zone. Altitude, 2,000 feet. Speed, 400 knots. They fly low and fast, a show of force. Banking hard, wings vertical, engines screaming. The lead Su-30 pilot radios, "American warship, you are interfering in Venezuelan affairs. Break off immediately." Captain responds, "Venezuelan aircraft. This vessel is carrying sanctioned cargo in international waters. We have legal authority." "You have no authority. Leave now or face consequences." The Su-30s make a pass directly over the USS Porter. Close, aggressive, threatening. Sailors on deck watch as the fighter jets roar overhead. Afterburners lit, sonic assault. Then the FA-18s arrive. Viper 1 and Viper 2 scream into the zone at 500 knots. They climb immediately to 8,000 feet. Tactical advantage. Viper 1 pilot, the squadron leader, radios the Venezuelan pilots. "Venezuelan fighters, break off your aggressive maneuvers, or we will engage." Venezuelan lead pilot, "This is not your fight, American." "It became our fight when you threatened a U.S. Navy vessel." The Su-30s don't back down. They drop even lower, 500 feet above the water. Another pass over the USS Porter, even closer this time. Wake turbulence rocks the ship's mast. Viper 1 locks her radar onto the lead Su-30. Lock tone in her headset. Her finger hovers over the trigger. "Venezuelan lead, I have tone. Break off now." The Venezuelan pilot doesn't respond. But he doesn't attack either. He's testing, probing, seeing how far he can push. Warpulse confirms this is the most dangerous moment yet. Who wins this standoff? A. USA backs down. B. Venezuela backs down. C. Shots fired. At 5:14 a.m., a third player enters. A Russian intelligence ship appears on radar. Distance, 12 miles east. The Viktor Leonov, spy ship, bristling with electronic surveillance equipment. Captain curses under his breath. Of course they're here. They always are. The Russian ship isn't just watching, it's recording everything. Every radio transmission, every radar emission, every tactical decision. Moscow has significant interests in Venezuela. Oil deals, arms sales, military advisors. And Russia backs China. China backs Venezuela. This isn't just USA versus Venezuela anymore. This is the new Cold War on water. Meanwhile, the Oceanic Titan's engine sputters. Thick black smoke pours from the exhaust stack. The tanker slows. 16 knots becomes 12 knots, then 8 knots. Mechanical failure, sabotage, deliberate? Captain watches through binoculars. "Sir, the tanker is losing power," reports the tactical officer. "Coincidence?" asks the XO. "No such thing in this business," Hayes replies. The tanker is now dead in the water. Perfect opportunity. Launch the boarding team, full VBSS package. VBSS, visit, board, search, and seizure. 2 rigid hull inflatable boats drop into the water. 16 U.S. Navy SEALs, full combat gear, weapons ready. The boats speed toward the tanker at 40 knots. The Su-30s circle overhead, lower, tighter. Furious but helpless. They can't stop a boarding operation without starting a war. And they know it. At 5:28 a.m., the SEALs rope onto the tanker's deck. Team leader is a lieutenant, 12 years as a SEAL, 47 combat missions. This is number 48. His team moves fast, practiced, efficient. 4 operators secure the main deck. 4 head to the bridge. 8 descend into the ship's interior. The tanker's crew doesn't resist. 22 Filipino sailors, contract workers. They're not getting paid enough to fight Navy SEALs. The captain is a 58-year-old Greek merchant marine, hired by a shell company in Panama. He raises his hands. "We are just transporting oil. We have done nothing wrong." The lieutenant. "Who owns the cargo?" "I don't know. I just have a delivery manifest." "Where's your final destination?" "Shanghai, that's all I know." The bridge is secured in 4 minutes. The lieutenant radios back to the USS Porter. "Bridge secure. No resistance. 22 crew accounted for." "Copy. Check the cargo." The lieutenant's team descends into the tanker's massive hold. They expect oil. They find something else. Wait for what they discovered in the cargo hold. Shocking. The cargo manifest says crude oil, 300,000 tons of it. And that's mostly true. But in the aft section, welded compartments hidden behind false bulkheads. The chief petty officer spots them first. "LT, you need to see this." The lieutenant climbs down, examines the welds. Recent. Amateur. Cut it open. The chief uses a hydraulic spreader. The metal groans, then splits. Inside, military-grade electronics, radar systems, communications equipment. All Chinese-made. The lieutenant picks up one unit, reads the label. PLA Type 382 Naval Radar. He opens another crate. Fire control systems for anti-ship missiles. Another crate. Encrypted communication devices. $50 million worth of military hardware. The lieutenant radios the porter. "Captain, we have a problem. This isn't just oil." He describes what they found. The captain listens. His jaw tightens. "Document everything. Full inventory. We're seizing the entire vessel." The SEALs spend the next 2 hours cataloging the contraband. Photographs, serial numbers, manifests hidden in the captain's safe. The documents reveal a network. Dozens of tankers, hundreds of shipments. Venezuela has been smuggling weapons for months. Codename Caribbean Pipeline. Total estimated value, $2.3 billion. Destination, Venezuelan military bases. Some equipment forwarded to Cuba and Nicaragua. This operation is massive. Pentagon officials are briefed by 7:30 a.m. At 8 a.m., the Oceanic Titan is under U.S. control. A prize crew from the USS Porter takes command. The tanker is redirected to Roosevelt Roads Naval Station in Puerto Rico. ETA, 28 hours. The Venezuelan government explodes with rage. President Maduro addresses the nation at 9 a.m. This is piracy. The United States has committed an act of war against Venezuela. We demand the immediate return of our vessel and cargo. Russia issues a statement. Illegal aggression by the United States. We stand with Venezuela. China's Foreign Ministry. We protest this violation of international law and freedom of navigation. But the tanker is in U.S. custody. And Warpulse has obtained exclusive details. Justified or piracy? Comment J for justified or P for piracy. The strategic consequences are massive. Within 12 hours, U.S. policy shifts. Every Venezuelan tanker in the Caribbean is now a target. New protocols, more destroyers, enhanced surveillance. The USS Porter is joined by the USS Carney and USS Bainbridge. 3 Arleigh Burke destroyers now patrol the Venezuelan coast. P-8 Poseidon aircraft fly constant surveillance missions. Global Hawk drones track every vessel leaving Venezuelan ports. Venezuela responds with threats. Any further interference will be met with military force. But they don't have the capability. Venezuelan Navy, 6 frigates, 2 submarines, and several patrol boats. All aging, poorly maintained, no match for U.S. Navy. Their air force is more capable, but still limited. 30 Su-30 Mk2 fighters, 20 F-16A fighters purchased before sanctions. They can challenge, they can threaten. But in a sustained conflict, they lose. And everyone knows it. China issues another warning. Further provocations will have serious consequences. What does that mean? Economic retaliation? Military support for Venezuela? U.S. intelligence indicates Chinese military advisors are already in Venezuela. Numbers? Estimated 300 to 500 personnel. Operating radar systems, training pilots, advising naval operations. Not officially acknowledged, but confirmed through signals intelligence. Russia deploys 2 warships to the Caribbean within 48 hours. The Admiral Gorshkov frigate and the Academic Pashin intelligence ship. Freedom of navigation exercises, Moscow claims. The Gorshkov is armed with caliber cruise missiles, capable of striking land targets 1,500 miles away. That puts Florida within range. The escalation continues. Iran offers to send protective escorts for Venezuelan tankers. Iranian Navy fast attack boats, armed with anti-ship missiles. If they arrive, this gets infinitely more complicated. U.S. State Department warns, any Iranian military presence in the Western Hemisphere will be met with appropriate response. Translation: don't even think about it. The Caribbean is now a flashpoint. Multiple nations, competing interests, warships circling. One aggressive move, one trigger pull, one miscalculation. And this spirals out of control. War Pulse military analysts break down the escalation ladder. Currently at level 4 out of 10. Level 5. Direct military confrontation between U.S. and Venezuelan forces. Level 6. Chinese or Russian forces engage U.S. vessels. Level 7. Missile strikes on land targets. Level 8. Full regional war involving multiple nations. Level 9. Strategic weapon deployment. Level 10. Nuclear exchange. We're not at nuclear yet, but we're climbing. Drop your prediction. What happens next? A. De-escalation through diplomacy. B. More naval confrontations. C. Direct military conflict. 3 days after the seizure, 3 more Venezuelan tankers are en route to China. U.S. Navy tracks all of them. Intelligence suggests one tanker is carrying more hidden weapons. Another may have a Chinese naval officer embedded as an observer. The third is being escorted by a Venezuelan frigate. Testing U.S. resolve, probing boundaries. The USS Porter intercepts the first tanker on January 9th. Same playbook, warning shots, boarding team. This time, no hidden weapons, just oil. The tanker is inspected and released. But the message is sent: we will board every vessel. The second tanker diverts to Cuba instead of continuing to China. Havana allows it to dock, refuel. Cuba becomes a new variable in the equation. Are they providing safe harbor for smuggling operations? U.S. intelligence is investigating. The third tanker, escorted by a Venezuelan frigate, approaches the interception zone. This is the test. Will the U.S. Navy board a tanker under military escort? The captain receives new orders from Fleet Command. Proceed with intercept. Monitor the frigate. If they interfere, defend yourself. The USS Porter approaches. The Venezuelan frigate positions itself between the destroyer and the tanker. Standoff. Again. But this time the frigate is outmatched. The porter's weapon systems could sink the frigate in minutes. The Venezuelan captain knows this. Radio exchange: American warship, you will not board this vessel. The captain: Venezuelan frigate, move aside, or we will interpret your actions as hostile. This is an act of war. No, this is enforcement of international sanctions. Last warning. 15 minutes of tension. Then the Venezuelan frigate moves. Not away, but parallel. Same tactic as before. Creating a corridor, the USS Porter sends its boarding team. No weapons found on this tanker either. But the precedent is set. U.S. Navy will board any vessel, even under military escort. Venezuela can protest, but they can't stop it. This operation proves naval power still controls global trade. But it also proves how fragile peace really is. The oceanic Titan sits in Puerto Rico, cargo seized, crew detained. Legal proceedings begin. Venezuela demands its return. The U.S. refuses. Diplomatic channels are active, but no progress. Behind closed doors, negotiations are brutal. U.S. demands end the weapons smuggling, expel Chinese and Russian military advisors. Venezuelan demands return the tanker, end the blockade, lift sanctions. No common ground, no compromise. Military analysts predict 3 scenarios. Scenario 1, quiet resolution. Venezuela stops smuggling. U.S. eases some sanctions. Probability, 25%. Scenario 2, continued standoffs. More intercepts, no shooting. Cold War at sea. Probability, 60%. Scenario 3, direct military confrontation. Venezuelan jets attack a U.S. vessel. Full conflict. Probability, 15%. That 15% keeps Pentagon planners awake. Because if it happens, the consequences are catastrophic. Regional war, economic disruption, potential Chinese intervention. Oil prices have already spiked 22% since the seizure. Oil markets are nervous. Energy security is threatened. Europe watches closely. They import Venezuelan oil too. This affects everyone. Could this escalate into full war? Can diplomacy save this? Or are we watching the opening moves of something much bigger? War Pulse will keep tracking every development. Because real conflicts don't end with one seizure. They evolve, they spread, they explode. The Caribbean pipeline is broken, but the players are still on the board. Venezuela won't forget. China won't forgive. Russia is watching every move. And the U.S. Navy continues its patrols. More destroyers, more aircraft, more intercepts. Welcome to the new normal. Naval standoffs at dawn. Fighter jets circling overhead. Missiles armed. This is 2026. Subscribe to War Pulse, where military operations become breaking news. Real conflicts, real consequences, real coverage. The Caribbean just became the world's most dangerous waters. And we're covering every single move. Because when the next crisis hits, you'll hear it here first. War Pulse, where real conflicts meet real coverage.